Hello, everyone. It's a sunny day in Accra, Ghana, and I am here with a wonderful personality who's going to be telling us a lot more about this particular film festival. Usually, we speak to film festivals that cover feature films, short films, but not exactly documentary films. So, this is why this particular interview is exciting, and it's all the way in South Africa. Without further ado, we're going to listen to the bio of the director of this festival. And when we come back, we'll go straight into the conversation. So stay tuned. Mandisa Zitha is currently the festival director of the Encounter South African International Documentary Festival. She completed her BA in Film and Media Studies at UCT in 2005, majoring in documentary, and in 2007, she took over as the head of Encounters until 2012. Her passion for the documentary genre led her to return to the position of festival director in 2019. Zitha is an ambassador for the South African film industry. She was named one of the Mail and Guardian's top 100 women for the arts and culture sector in 2011 and received the Mbokodo Award for Women in Media in 2020. Mandisa represents Encounters at major festivals, markets, and funding selection committees both locally and internationally. Thank you so much for making time today, Mandisa.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, Alice, for interviewing us and all the way in chilly Cape Town.
Absolutely. And it's sunny here today. I mean, usually it's the rainy season, but we're just enjoying the sun. And I just also want to mention that this particular interview is brought to you, kind courtesy DFM, which is the Durban Film Art, and of which I am a talent press member of this year's 2025. And I'm excited to be a part of this particular fellowship. So thank you so much to the organizers and also Menzi, who's probably watching now. And thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to interact with these amazing film festivals, which Encounter is one of them. And I'll definitely have an interview with the other film festivals. So keep a look on this channel to find out more. So we'll go straight into it. I'm sure it's just a few days, depending on when anyone is watching this interview. It's a few days to the festival, or actually, the festival is happening now. What is the spirit like right now as the director of a festival that is this prestigious?
Well, thank you so much, Alice. Obviously, with a few days to go, it's a little bit nerve-wracking. We're always trying to think of innovative ways to bring in audiences. But after 27 years in existence, we've kind of developed systems and relationships and partnerships that have really nurtured the festival over the last almost 3 decades. And I think it's become, well, I hope it's become a pivotal event in the film calendar in South Africa that people look towards. And we're very privileged to get a lot of media attention and to have a very committed base of audiences.
We had an amazing interaction with you, and that's by we, I mean the Durban Film Arts Talent Press members. And we had a discussion about the festival, just a bit that you shared. And I mean, you also mentioned that there's no particular theme for the festival. Usually, you do not coin a theme and then try to work towards it. The films that are submitted to the festival usually find their way. So, can you tell us about what's the themes or some of the common themes that we've had over the past 27 years? Maybe not as far as over 27 years, but then in recent times, what do you think is the major theme that has been running through to films that are submitted to the festival?
I mean, it's been many years of curation. Definitely there's strands and themes that are reoccurring. And I think as much as we have a wide range of themes at the festival on social justice issues, and documentary filmmakers are very concerned with what's happening in the world, and they want to use film as a tool to affect change and to speak the issues that are dominating the zeitgeist of our time at whatever point that is. So social justice issues are very strong, human rights violations, or basically giving voice to, the people fighting for land rights, people fighting climate justice or oppressive governments, wars. These are the characters that regularly come back from all over the world to feature on our program. But as I said, we have a wide range of themes. So we know what our audience loves because we've been curating for South African audiences for many years now. So politics and the arts are also quite popular with our festival. And we even have films about people. We, like profile documentaries about well-known personalities, whether it's artists, writers, or presidents. And those are also quite popular with our festival.
That's awesome. How does your team, you mentioned that you're a very small team working tightly and closely together to make the festival successful. But how does your team make sure that there's diversity in the kind of films selected? I do know that the festival is in South Africa or is based in South Africa. But then how then do you make sure that it's not just like majority of the films coming from South Africa and you're also opening your doors to other parts of the world?
That's a good question, and we're very intentional about it. So our program is equitable, and we have 50% African documentaries from all over the continent and the diaspora, and 50% will be international. And even our short program is quite diverse. So we are committed to that. And we keep a watchful eye on where our films are coming from and ensuring that there's women directors are featured, and we make sure that there's a place for emerging filmmakers. So diversity is very important for us, but we see ourselves as prominent documentary film festival in Africa. So for us, it's very important to make sure that we have a diverse range of African documentaries from different countries as well.
What do you think over the years has been the most important collaboration that you've had with other entities? Because I know as a festival, it can be easy to stay sustained. How is either the government or as an entity or there's some major support that you are getting that is keeping the festival running for 27 years?
I mean, that's really, really the crux of running a festival, is to keep it sustainable and to attract the right partnerships that commit to supporting the work of the festival. Because as documentary festival, our work can often be very challenging because it's critical to governments, to certain sectors of society. So having committed partners that understand that and that support that mandate, it's very important to us, and it's really what we require for our sustainability. So our key partner is the Bertha Foundation, and they fund documentaries on the continent and around the world. Documentaries really from filmmakers from countries where sometimes the film infrastructure is not that strong. And they support that, and they also support us. But we also have a lot of government funding, primarily because we have a strong drive as well to develop the documentary industry, to make sure that there's new talent coming through, that there's a space for them, that there's training and development, and that we're growing audiences. We're not quite where the European festivals are, where they have 100,000 attendees over 10 days, and people are lining up in the morning, early in the morning in the cold for tickets. We're not quite there. We hope we will be one day. So we have to do a lot of work on community engagement and audience development to get young people interested in documentary. But I can say that with what is happening with the genre, with streaming platforms and YouTube, it's growing. It's growing in popularity, and I'm very happy to see young people engaging with the genre as well.
Yeah, I was honestly just about to ask what the impact of the festival has been on the South Africa filmmaking scene, because you realize that documentary is not really the most popular, and we do not have, well, we do have a number of services that stream just documentaries, and even on one of the most popular streaming services, Netflix, know that the percentages of the documentaries on there cannot be compared to the fiction or the feature films or short films. So basically, what are some of the intentional steps that the festival has taken to make sure that documentaries become appealing to especially the Gen Z and the younger generation?
For us, I think one of the best ways we can do it within our resources is to, especially for African documentaries, because we're an African film festival, is to position African documentaries on par with international films that are the best of the best, coming from other festivals, winning awards. And we want to pair African documentaries with those and just to position them in a way that shows the quality and the strength of African documentaries. And I think that helps sort of catapult African documentaries to the rest of the world. It gives them more visibility. Because Encounters is visible internationally, it gives those films in turn visibility to other festivals, to other markets, and you find that those films in essence travel more and reach other global markets and festivals. And also introducing South African audiences to documentaries from around the world. It helps us also with our craft. It helps us to understand our shared issues and shared values. And it really connects us as a community around documentary. But over the years, we also do a lot of training and audience development initiatives. We go to communities. During the festival, we are in the communities. We are doing pop-up cinemas in the townships. We are trying to bring in young people into the cinemas. We're engaging with film schools. So we're working from the ground up, and we're still working on it, but we're getting there in terms of making it more attractive. And I'm pleasantly surprised that young people in audiences are the vocal ones, are the engaged ones, asking interesting questions and really engaging with the issues of the documentaries.
Interesting. And speaking of this particular year's festival, what are some of the interesting panels that anyone who's watching now can look forward to or be excited about that they can also partake in and be an audience to?
Unfortunately, unlike before, some of the panels are not online, but the panels that we have planned, the keynote panel is really looking at what is happening in the African documentary landscape. What are the challenges and what are the opportunities, and how are we looking with representation and into the point of view of African documentaries? There's something important happening in the documentary community in Africa, and that is, we really want to tell our own stories from our perspective. And we want those stories to be the stories that are seen around the world about us. They must come from our point of view. And I think that is the conversation. And the conversation is also how we can collaborate more across our different countries, despite the challenges, of language and infrastructure and travel, how we can collaborate more. And I think that is starting to happen more than before. So our panels address issues like that, but they also address other social issues, feminist issues of women's bodies and the politics around that. Important issues around climate change. I think that is a big conversation. It's affecting and impacting all of us. It's affecting water availability, food resources, weather conditions, and I think land issues. So that is a very important topic that is not a distant topic, but is one that is quite resonant for us in the whole continent. And other topics, I think, include just around AI, which is a big topic in our film program. And ways of learning, how education is changing because of AI and digital technology. I think that'll be of interest to everyone.
Absolutely, especially with the topic of AI and the amazing innovations that keep being released every single day. I'm sure anybody who's watching this now definitely wants to visit the Encounters Festival and gets to be a part of these discussions. It's where you get to meet industry professionals, documentary filmmakers, and also if you are aspiring to be a documentary filmmaker, it is best to visit these festivals, interact with people who are already there, watch films that inspire, and get a chance to grow as a filmmaker. So do make sure to. And I really wish I could be there in person, but hopefully next year it should be at Encounters to encounter everything myself. And now I'm sure this is the part where lots of African filmmakers or filmmakers all across the world would be excited about, because they're wondering how do they get their films into the festival. So can you kind of give us a brief on how to submit to the festival, and when does the submission window usually open during the year?
I would love to interest more people, especially from the African continent, to submit their films on our website, and then we'll see that we have African documentaries from different countries. There's always a strong component of films from West Africa, from Chad, I think, Mali, Cote d'Ivoire, Benin. Yeah, excellent documentaries. So it's always a tough choice, and we always struggle to select. But I still would encourage filmmakers to submit. Our deadlines are usually towards the year from September until the end of February. So there's quite a few months to submit. And if they go online, they can opt into our mailing list or just follow us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and we always post there. It's actually easier to follow us on Instagram at Encounters Doc. But more especially, I also would like to encourage first-time and emerging filmmakers. If you have shorts, please submit. If people have a look at our shorts program, they'll see that we've got a lineup of really exciting short documentaries. So I'd also like to encourage that as well.
So you have the definitely visit the website, get on the mailing list, and you definitely got all the information that you need. And apart from just the festival, screening of films, are there any labs or panels or networking programs that any filmmaker or documentary filmmaker can take advantage of during the festival?
Absolutely. Sometimes we do have year-round program, but the most important lab is our partnership with the Rough Cut Lab Africa. And the Rough Cut Lab Africa accepts submissions from all over the continent again. It runs year-round. I think the call goes out from end of the year as well. And it's an amazing post-production lab. It's running now. And a lot of the films really just are so well developed after the lab, and it's just a support, especially emerging young filmmakers that are struggling to complete their films. This is a great lab in supporting them in that way, complete their films, or at least to get further in their film.
I think the mailing list will definitely be sending out notifications of when these labs and the panels or like programs, networking opportunities are out. So definitely get on the mailing list of Encounters Festival to be updated. Now let's get into what I was speaking about earlier with regards to visibility, continent, and just generally how the festival is endeavoring. I mean, you've spoken about how they're trying to appeal more to the younger generation because obviously documentaries, usually when you hear documentaries, you think, oh, boring. But then when it's appealing to the younger generation, they get to realize that it does not necessarily have a particular path that it takes. But I would like to know, with regards to West African submissions, you mentioned some of them, but over the last few years or over the course of the festival running for 27 years, how would you say the entries from West Africa, particularly, I'm a bit biased because this is where I live and I know more about that industry. Would you say that there's a decline or there's an increase in the number of films that come from documentary filmmakers in West Africa?
We definitely get a lot of films from West Africa, and the quality is very high. So that's like an easy one. The challenge is the selection because the quality is very high. The films are different in a way from our style of documentary filmmaking. It's a different kind of sensibility. Sometimes they're slower, but it's usually beautiful cinematography and really great characters. So we're seeing a lot of great films from West Africa. Some of our films from West Africa have won they've won most of our awards. We've got the Best Documentary Award, that is the Best African Documentary, sponsored by Al Jazeera. And until recently, we also used to have the Ladima Award for the Best African Woman Director. And I think most of the winners have been from West Africa. So the quality is very high. The challenge is that there's a lot of entries and it's very difficult for us to take all the films. We would love to get more films from Ghana. We don't get enough from Ghana. So just a heads up to Ghana. And I think we could get more from Nigeria as well. But in terms of the other countries like Chad, Benin, Cameroon, right? Yeah, Cote d'Ivoire, we get a lot of films from there. So I think the main thing is to educate South African audiences about West African cinema and its style, and to kind of create an appetite for that. And that takes like regular education and regular audience engagement. We would love to be in a position where we can have more year-round screenings, year-round programs, so that we are really developing the culture, the culture of documentary watching.
Right. And I can understand you're talking about the reaction or basically the way you see films or documentary films from West Africa in a different light is the same for me. During this particular program that I'm on, the DFM, I've had the opportunity to watch some of the films from Encounters. And honestly, I would say, I'm not just saying it because I have a director here, but then I would say that the films are really intriguing, and it has opened my horizon, or just broadened it to a different style of filmmaking that I didn't even know existed. As filmmakers or as even film critics, we have the tendency to stay within our range and watch films within that range. But then it's always a good idea to watch films from other jurisdictions because it really does broaden your horizon. And what would you say is the most challenging thing that you've had to do with regards to selecting film? I'm just putting you on the spot here. With selecting films or with awarding a particular film, what has been the most challenging decision you've had to make?
I can tell you now, the biggest challenge we have is that we struggle to raise funding for mobility funds for African travel, for African filmmakers to travel to the festival and to present their films and to talk about their films. And I think that is a challenge on the continent, and it's really, truly quite a tragedy that we are unable to travel within each other's countries easily. And there's resources for that, for us to present our films at different countries, but also to network amongst each other. For me, that is the biggest challenge. And also just the resources to educate audiences more year-round around African documentary. So we will give awards and we will profile films and we will organize things online. But I think it's always better in person. So for me, as a festival director, I think that's a challenge we need to meet eventually, to get some support. And I think the support has to come from the continent. It can't come from Europe. We have to find ways to support that, and so that there's in-person engagement at our mutual festivals, even for South African filmmakers to travel to other African countries. But there's a lot of other things happening behind the scene that really we are trying to do without resources. We've got groups, African Festival Network groups, where we are networking amongst each other and we're building something towards collaborations. We've got labs. Even the DFM has created a space for labs across Africa, labs and training programs to come together. So despite these challenges and resources, we are coming together and talking more about building an African ecosystem of documentary filmmaking amongst each other.
I really do concur with what you're saying. Even for me, someone in Ghana, knowing that I had to look for mobility funds to come to Durban for, the festival, it's really a challenge. I wouldn't lie. So it's definitely something that it's not just for me in West Africa, but it's also just a challenge that really resonates with the whole of the African continent. So we are hoping that more people would invest in, the African creative scene, and will definitely get better. Now, after 27 years, this is going to be the 27th edition. What are your final words to anyone who's hoping to probably submit for the 28th, or just generally wondering if this is something that they should even consider as being a documentary filmmaker? Or what would you say to someone who is contemplating a career in the documentary film scene?
I mean, I would say that the documentary genre, it is about films that deal with social issues and other, issues of the world, but it's also an art form. And it's a very interesting art form. I find it visually attractive. It's grown tremendously and evolved over the years in my position here at Encounters. I've seen the art form really, really elevate in various ways, the use of the film language and experimentation. There's a lot of hybrid documentaries now, experimental documentaries. The short form documentary has become quite popular at festivals, and there's festivals just dedicated to short films and short documentaries, and they're doing well. So there is a space to grow your documentary. It is challenging, but I think if you have the passion for the art form to shine a light or awareness on issues, documentaries are the way to go. There's definitely more impact in supporting the work of NGOs and other partners that are involved around this particular thematic issue of that documentary. Travel with your film, meet interesting filmmakers from around the world, have interesting opportunities. So there is some opportunities in the genre. If that's of something of interest to, young people and emerging talent as well.
So there you have it. Don't hesitate to submit your film when it opens or when the opportunity opens, and be sure to be on their mailing list so that you can get to know everything. Follow their socials at Encounters and Film Festival. And also, don't forget that it's happening from the 19th to the 29th of June 2025. So if you're watching this as it's happening or just before, you can still make your way to the festival and enjoy quality documentaries from all across the world. I'm really amazed by the films. I've seen a number of them, and I know you would love them too. I know you have a very busy schedule, and we'll just keep it really brief. Just any final words before we end.
Yes, we're quite excited to see how our films are going to be received. I think after all the hard work for so many months, you just want to get into the cinema and see the reaction and see the Q&As and the questions afterwards, or talk to people after the cinemas, screenings, and just travel around the different venues to see what people think about the films. So we're really excited about that. And I'm also just looking forward to hearing from more people from around the continent, people interested in just following us and submitting their films and reaching out to us about just ways they can participate. And I really look forward to that.
And I look forward to being in Johannesburg and Cape Town next year for Encounters Film Festival. Thank you so much, Mandisa, for your time. It's been a pleasure, and this has been brought to you by Durban Film Mart, that is a talent press. And my name is Alice Johnson, all the way from Accra, Ghana. Thank you, and stay tuned to the channel and definitely watch our other interviews coming up. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Alice. It's been wonderful. I wish we were in person together in Ghana.
Yes, me too. You should come over sometime. All right, take care. Bye.
Take care.